So, because they can surprise you like Montreal.
Yep.
But now as I just mentioned Montreal, let's transition over a bit.
Yes.
I think that's good to where leave off for how the playoffs ended. So we're just going to change over a bit here to the Penguins as a whole. If you hadn't known or don't know the struggles of the Penguins playoffs, they have now lost 10 of their last 11 playoff series. Their one win coming in Game 2 against the Montreal Canadiens postseason /
And
playoffs.
this
is going 3 years now.
This is their third series in a row now where they've lost.
For Jeff and Flyers fans' sake, that is, and for me as well, that is great if they don't get the first overall pick. But there's something here. And you mentioned to me about your friend or whatever who was talking about the Penguins. I know, and funny thing is, they traded Phil Kessel because there was a whole thing with Kessel and Malkin, that whole thing that happened over the offseason that came out from the end of last season. But Kessel got the last laugh because he's still in the playoffs.
That he is.
He's actually in the playoffs. Sorry.
There we go.
But if I was the Penguins, you have to have some gut punch. Also, maybe get rid of some people that probably shouldn't be there, but it's going to be harder said than done. But
I'll put it this way.
In no real order, I'd say get rid of Jim Rutherford, Mike Sullivan, or find a partner for Evgeny Malkin if you can.
Yeah.
Malkin's the last one I'd actually consider because if you lose Malkin, your window is significantly dimmed.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's my least. That'd be my least one to go, even though he's 34 and Crosby's now 33.
Yeah.
So their window is shrinking.
Also, so I'll put it this way,
as
Mike.
Good, even though I think Mike Sullivan might have been close to being Coach of the Year finalist. It's the same thing for Peter Laviolette, Mike Babcock, Gallant for some reason, Peter DeBoer. Since winning the back-to-back cups, you guys haven't done anything. And we're probably not going to be making any Pens fans happy here, or even hockey fans, because Mike Sullivan won and Rutherford won back-to-back Stanley Cups. Why would you fire them? Because they are struggling. Season-wise, it not that it doesn't matter, but it doesn't really matter because more than likely this team's good enough to make the playoffs. It's not the season that matters; it's the playoffs that matter. And if you're not going far in the playoffs, like it were, say, early 2010s to when you eventually won the first cup, guess what happened in that first year when you won the cup? You fired your head coach. Guess what happened? You won the cup. Those gut punches can help. It just is the Pittsburgh willing to do that, make that drastic of a move of getting rid of Jim Rutherford or Mike Sullivan.
That's the biggest question mark to me is, so looking last couple of years.
If it were me, I'd just say Sullivan and keep Rutherford for this year. If it's another struggle, then Rutherford.
I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to go keep Sullivan for now. Keyword, for now, get rid of Rutherford. So Jim Rutherford, he has made over the last several years, he's made some very key acquisitions. Getting Carl Hagelin, he got Nick Bonino. He got a lot of these players in the Phil Kessel was a huge one for the Penguins, helped winning them back-to-back cups. He made a lot of these great trades. Did he make that Phil
Kessel trade?
Say again?
Did he make that Phil Kessel trade?
Yeah. To bring him to Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He traded Scott Harrington, Nick Spaulding, a conditional first-round pick in 2016, a third-round pick in 2016, and Kasperi Kapanen to the Leafs for Kessel, Tim Erickson, and Tyler Biggs, along with a conditional second-round pick.
No, he did not. Oh, wait, never mind.
No, he did. I'm on Cap Friendly's page right now under Jim Rutherford specifically.
Okay.
So he traded Brandon Sutter and a third for Bonino and Adam Clendenning. He got Carl Hagelin for David Perron and Adam Clendenning. There you go. some other trades.
You traded away Connor Sheary, which was great, but then you brought him back, even though he was terrible.
So again, this one didn't make sense to me. He gave up. This won't make you laugh. And again, this is one of the very questionable trades he's made. Oscar Sundqvist and a first-round pick for Ryan Reeves and a second-round pick.
Here they traded halfway through the year. And that was only made because to protect Sidney Crosby. Now they traded him halfway through the year. So that trade literally meant nothing for the playoffs.
So there was that.
Yeah. His trades are significantly better than his signings because Jack Johnson, not that $3.25 million isn't a lot, but Jack Johnson's not a good defenseman. At 33, he is not good.
And
also Pedersen, his contract goes up next
that
season
one
as well.
was just flat out awful for Pittsburgh.
His signings aren't great. His trades are better, but more recently his trades aren't great.
I think
you didn't get anything really for. I know Phil Kessel, you're only going to get so much from him, but
6 years for Brandon Tanev, 6 years, $3.5 million.
Granted, you did get Jason Zucker after trading Galchenyuk to the Wild, but you didn't really get that much for trading away Phil Kessel, who is a big part of the reason why you won. And I will also say the biggest minorest of mistakes the Penguins made was letting Tocchet go.
That was a huge one.
Because I think Tocchet played a huge role in why they won back-to-back cups.
Yes.
It could be wrong, but that's just
that helps with Phil Kessel because he is that guy to rely on in Arizona with Toc and now that Toc's not an assistant coach, he's the head coach. Him and Kessel have a very unique relationship where they can, Toc knows how to handle Kessel. Where if Kessel's being Phil Kessel, and no one else knows how to handle him, that's where Toc steps in and says, "Hey, let's have a talk kind of thing," and they'll work it out, and then everything's back normal. That's why Toc was so great in Pittsburgh. And when Gino and Kessel, they had their arguments and everything left and right. You can even see on the bench in the middle of the game, they'd be yelling at each other. Mm-hmm. And then finally, it got to the point where they said, all right, one of you is going to go, who's going to be, and they ended up trading Kessel. And in that trade, it wasn't my favorite trade for Pittsburgh, meaning, honestly, I didn't think they got they traded Kessel at fourth and Dane Burks. That wasn't even that bad. For Galchenyuk and Pierre-Olivier Joseph, they then traded Galchenyuk, who barely lasted not even the whole season, honestly, for Jason Zucker for Galchenyuk, Kalen Addison, and a first-round pick. But again, condition is if the Penguins pick falls between 1 and 15, Pittsburgh has exactly 7 days to decide if they want to keep their pick or transfer it to 2021. But again, Rutherford in general, I think his leash has been way too long, and they need to just cut him loose. I would give Mike Sullivan 2 years maximum.
Oh, I want to.
Keyword: 2 years maximum. I'm not saying at least 2 years. I'm saying 2 years maximum.
My leash started for him when you can actually see on TV two of your players arguing with one another.
That's fair.
You as a coach should be able to calm them down and actually get them to not actually. It could be behind the scenes. That's one thing. But if you're having it shown actually on TV or anything like that, that's going to be shown, and you got to do something about that. Because there's always the thing. Well, if you have beef, they can just go away. One game is different than off ice. But when you bring it in game, that's when you have the problem. That's my problem with Mike Sullivan.
And again, that's very reasonable. And, I'll definitely give you that. Because, if it's one time, maybe 2 times tops, all right, I'll give you that.
It's to two of your best players.
2 of your star players. Not only that, but it happened on multiple occasions. Again, you can't always rely on the assistant coaches if you're the head coach. Like, you can't just say, hey, talk it. Take care of this, or whoever take care of this.
Crosby or your other.
Recky, take care of this.
Yeah,
tell these guys to
Letang, deal with this kind of thing. You can't.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I get it. Teams and players will have their rifts with one another. But again, especially if you're trying to have those guys again as an alternate captain or assistant captain, whatever you prefer, as alternate captains, whatnot, they're barely setting a good example for the young guys. And again, it's when two big personalities like Phil Kessel and Evgeny Malkin like that going head to head, a Russian and American. Oof, that's not a good one. But again, so for going back to Rutherford for a second, I think his leash has gone way too long for Pittsburgh. They need to cut him loose. Mike Sullivan, his leash, it's getting shorter and shorter by the minute. They're giving. I think if again, like I said, I give him maximum 2 years. Not saying he'll last even that long. I'm saying that give him one more year, if not at least 6 months into the season or so, and just to see how he changes things around. If not, cut him loose too. Again, there's very good coaches out there. Or again, if you're looking for a change, make the change. You got it.
Again, that's the only reason why I make the change is because there's still good coaches out there.
Right, exactly.
I don't want Lavie to go there, but he could go there.
He would dominate there. Are you kidding? I would hate him to go there, but both him and Mike Babcock would dominate there. Mm-hmm. Again, Gerard Gallant could do very well.
I'm sure Babcock would like that because he lost to those Penguins.
Yeah, he beat them in 2008, but lost them in 2009.
Exactly.
But again, imagine how much of a relationship that would be between Malkin and Babcock. That would be interesting. But all in all, though, I definitely believe that the Pittsburgh Penguins need to get rid of Jim Rutherford, and at some point within the next 2 years, probably more than likely get rid of Mike Sullivan and replace it with a go-to coach that's available right now.
Yeah.
Because who knows how long these guys are going to last for. So the thing is, right now, Pittsburgh, they technically right now, they don't have a first-round pick. It's a conditional pick. They don't have a second. They have only 4 picks 3 through 6, which is huge for everyone else in the Metro, especially the Flyers. Looking at the contracts, though, Connor Sherry, $3 million, you can get rid of him.
Sherry.
No, it's Sherry.
It's Sherry.
Sherry.
No, it's Sherry.
It should be Sherry.
No. You can't go Sherry, then back to Sherry. Fuck you, it's Sherry.
It should be Sherry, but the guy doesn't even know his own name. Connor Sherry. I'm just leaving it at that.
Either way, they have 2 contracts. They can get $8 million back. Justin Schultz as well. I don't think Schultz is that great of a defenseman.
He's $5.5 million.
Yeah.
He's not worth that much.
No.
So there's $8.5
million. But here's the other
right
problem
there.
too: is both Matt
Evan Rodriguez is a $2 million RFA. That's $2 million right there. 1.25 in Jared McCann, and then you have a bunch of smaller RFAs and everything. But the biggest issue is the goaltending. Matt Murray, $3.75 million RFA, or Tristan Jarry, $675,000 RFA.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do? So obviously you have a lot of options if you're Pittsburgh for the whole roster. So again, looking at the Penguins right now, and again we're kind of jumping way ahead of
let's
doing
not forget about Bukestad too.
Yeah,
he's on IR, but he's there too, checking up some cap.
4.1 mil. He has at least another year left, and he hasn't played, I don't think, that well for.
Well, he only played 13 games this season, so.
Oh, well, there you go.
Put up 2 points.
By the way, you have. Yeah. Oh God. You have guys like Brian Dumoulin, Jack Johnson, 4.1, 3.2 mil.
Yeah,
it's a waste of money.
No one's touching that Jack Johnson.
No.
Contract. Good luck trying to get rid of any bad contracts this offseason.
Yeah. So they're another team that's screwed against this cap not getting bumped up.
Yep, I agree. But before we get to the goalies, because I know you want to talk about their goalies.
Yes.
Because I'm sure there's probably Penguins fans, if you are listening to this, which I don't know why, because we're Flyers fans. But if you are, or happen to stumble across this, and are saying, well, if this was in the this is because it was in the bubble and a couple months after the season. If this was in the season, the Penguins would have done better. That's not true either, because the Penguins were a dumpster fire at the end of the season before play halted too. Tristan Jarry was playing terribly. The team didn't look good at all.
Everyone was playing horrible hockey.
I have to look at this. Jeff, talk while I look this up.
Say again?
Talk, I'm looking up something.
All right. So
I want to get the numbers right here, because I know
all right. So while you're doing that, I definitely wanted to bring up something about a bit of the goaltending that includes Matt Murray and also defenseman Jack Johnson. So Ryan Wilson tweeted this out 2 days ago. Matt Murray had an on-ice save percentage of .750 with Jack Johnson on the ice at 5-on-5 this series against the Habs. He had 15 saves on 20 shots. Without Johnson, 5 versus 5, he stopped 56 shots. Sorry, he made 56 saves on 59 shots, .949 save percentage. You do the math. Which one sounds better?
I missed it. Sorry. Oh, yeah. That's the Penguins were 3-7 in their last 10 games.
There you go.
And Jarry didn't play well in those games either. I believe he gave up in the last couple of games. I think he said he gave up 18 goals, something like that, 13, something like that. Either way, it was in the double digits. He was giving up a lot of goals. But going back to their goaltenders, here's my thing. The injuries are, I think, a big part of why Matt Murray isn't the same Matt Murray. But I think at this moment, I think both goalies will give you the same outcome.
Result.
Nothing about Jarry has wowed me. I think he's okay in the little bit that I've seen from him. Nothing makes me think he's he'll be at the moment this future, maybe, unless Matt Murray turns it around, unless they stick with the tandem thing. But at the moment, I think you're going to get the same outcome no matter if you're starting Matt Murray and Tristan Jarry. And because Matt Murray has the experience, that's why I understand why you do Matt Murray starting the playoffs than Tristan Jarry. But that's just me. Nothing about Tristan. And it can easily change. Jarry's 25. It's about he's 25, 26.
So I have a lot to say on Tristan Jarry. I saw him in person a lot during my time with Witmer&Quake Scranton. Yes, that was a few years ago, but he just watching him play then compared to now, he's gotten a little bit better, but there's definitely some things that he needs to work on. So his style, it's definitely more of an athletic butterfly style, of course. He's very large, rather physically imposing goalie. He definitely uses his strong legs and very quick reflexes to make great saves. He does track shots very well, and he has solid positioning, which you can attribute to his great vision. But his rebound control is my biggest worry about him still. Back when I interned with Witmer&Quake Scranton in 2017, that was Jarry's biggest issue, was the rebound control. It's improved here and there, but you can even argue it's grown more, but still, that's the biggest thing I have an issue with him. So I really think that he's not that good at controlling rebounds yet. He's still a very good goalie. He's going to be Pittsburgh's number one goalie at some point soon, because Matt Murray's time is running out, mainly due to injuries, mainly because of the lack of consistency there in Pittsburgh. But I really think that Tristan Jarry's time is now and Matt Murray's time is gone. Mm-hmm. The other thing is I will say is the rebound control. So again, a buddy of mine, he wrote some notes on Tristan Jarry a few years ago, and the notes still say the same. He even showed them to some current NHL scouts, and this is what they had to say about Jarry. The rebound control sometimes is a relation to what is going on in front of him defensively, but as the scout says, like all young goalies, they have areas to improve on. A very Another scout said Jari's rebound control at the time was average, needs improvement. He needs to take command of his crease, and seldom does. He has holes where when he is having an off night and pucks go through him, he needs to be tighter in his technique. And again, we've seen that where he has random. Well, again, like it was an awkward shot, but the one that went off of his helmet and into the net, it was just a weird shot. But again, it wasn't the best goal to give up. I'm sure he wants that back. But again, like that's just the way the puck bounced that night. There were.
Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. Would you be so lenient if Matt Murray had that goal go in the same type of way? Or would he give him more crap for it?
It's tough. So again, because the way that the puck was shot, you're talking about the helmet goal, right?
Yeah.
So the way the puck was shot is from if you're looking at the net, the shot was taken from the left side of the net, off the side of that and in. I don't know if that's just the way the puck went in, or it was just a perfect bounce kind of thing, or that it was just meant to be. Oh, no matter what, it's just a perfect deflection, no matter what angle. No matter what, I think it's regardless of who's in net, it's a tough way to block that shot. Either you got to get up a very quick glove up here. You might have to, because again, you don't want to pull a brazen duck. That's the last thing you want to do. You want to have, again, and we saw this. Sorry, I'm laughing too much now about that. But no, so we even had some goalies recently that they literally blocked the puck with their masks. Now, granted, it's a wrist shot coming at you, and that could do some damage maybe, but worst case scenario, if you're somehow able to get your mask in front of that puck to make the save, and you got to do it, You're there, last line of defense, literally, to make that stop. Now, for Jari and Murray, no matter who's in net, I think that puck's going in no matter what. I think it's just one of those weird, bizarre, perfect angles.
It was also one of those games because that last Penguins Montreal game,
the
only way you were going to beat Jari, it seemed, was an ugly goal, and that was one.
Exactly, and because again,
and
like he has his moments where he gets hot, but also
then he has moments where he gets really cold.
He lets in an ugly goal, and Matt Murray's the same way, unfortunately, where they're almost not necessarily known for it, but it surprises me less if those goalies let in ugly goals like they had. Right. Again, Game 4 against the Canadiens, Jari let in the helmet goal, and there's some other goals. Game 1, I think it was, and I believe it was Murray. I believe it was in Game 1. If not, it was Jari in another game where he was hugged up against the post, and the puck just
Jari only started the last game, so
okay. Well, then it was Murray then. But again, Matt Murray was hugged up against the post, and the puck just squeaked through his arm. No idea how it went in. But those are the type of goals that doesn't, unfortunately, for Pittsburgh's sake, it doesn't surprise me that those kind of goals go in. Both goalies need to work on their angles. That's
I'm not making
their biggest weaknesses.
I will also say this, because to wrap up a little bit on my thinking of the Penguins is, I don't want to make that an excuse, but they really did kind of get screwed over by this whole thing, because they were only like 2 points away from the Flyers, maybe.
Something
and then
like
they
that,
had to play. Yeah. And as I said earlier in the podcast, it seems to me that the teams in round robin, at least it seems better if you have a little rougher, just because you can get your feet going there, versus win or go home in 5-game series. Sorry.
Yeah.
And the Penguins never found it. They just never did.
No.
Even getting Jake Gensel back, because Jake Gensel's back. This means they're going to be
right, which is the craziest thing. Because again, on paper, Pittsburgh should have swept this series.
Yeah,
they had a healthy Jake Gensel. It really is. And again, when we last saw Jake Gensel, he made that gorgeous pass against the Philadelphia Flyers for that first goal to Connor Sheary in that exhibition game, and we thought, well, there's Jake Gensel. We'll probably tear it up in the playoffs just because he's playing great. And he didn't find his game much. I know Malkin didn't. Crosby didn't, especially. Crosby, he came back
still doing his usual
from his injuries and stuff, and it took him quite a while.
I didn't know Aston Reese at all in the series.
Yeah, Zach Aston Reese, he's trying to find his spot with Pittsburgh. I think they can use him more than they already are now, but I don't think they're using him enough. They're relying on other guys who are taking up ice time. That makes no sense.
You know who I think put it best? Bush. He said they were a dud. And their game 4, they were a dud. And
one positive I will say that Pittsburgh had going for them the entire series, John Marino. He's a rather young defenseman.
Oh yeah. He was the only good. He was the only.
He was honestly the only good part about the Pittsburgh Penguins for their series. It really was.
Future-wise, you should feel good about that. He's only 20.
Oh, absolutely. He really should be the Penguins in their top 4 defensive parents, in my opinion, because right now, looking back at their defense, they have Chris Letang, Justin Schultz, Brian Dumoulin, Jack Johnson, Marcus Pettersson, who's locked up long. This is his final year of a rookie contract or entry-level contract, it looks like, before he goes into a long-term $4 million contract that starts next year for 5 years. So that's a big one. And again, that's even more cap space they got to worry about next year. So they got some very big cap issues to worry about. But they tried to Ruedel, Juuso Ricola, Marcus Pettersson, John Marino, Jack Johnson, Brian Dumoulin, Justin Schultz, and Chris Letang. Honestly, the way John Marino, who's only 23, by the way, and is obviously with the season ending for Pittsburgh, will be on his final year of his entry-level contract before he needs a extension. He looked the best out of all the Penguins defensemen. Chris Letang had his moments here and there. Brian Dumoulin didn't know as much. Justin Schultz, he's not worth the money. He's not worth the roster spot, in my opinion.
In the last game, Justin Schultz and Jack Johnson were together. Terrible pair.
And that is a awful. That's a dumpster fire pairing right there.
Again, Mike Sullivan. Hello.
Yeah. So again, it's moves like those that, again, to Mike's point, to make it even more fair, that you slowly but surely really got to start cutting that leash on Mike Sullivan. So
hey, just saying, Flyers fired Ron Hextall just because he was too patient. Granted, he was too patient. It was different circumstances, but he was still fired when people were still kind of praising him, and we still praise him. And I also think too, I forgot about Casey DeSmith.
Yeah, and exactly. He's
28. He's older,
right? But
if say
DeSmith and Jarry, they are a good duo. Then, right? And again, even if they re-sign Murray or whatever they want to do with Matt Murray, even if they keep him around, he's going to go to Seattle most likely because they'll protect Tristan Jarry and Casey DeSmith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's all I really got on Pittsburgh, though.
Yeah, no, for Pittsburgh,
a little bit of a deep dive there. So